Good morning. My name is Tom. I come to you from the great state of Maine. Well, it's after the big snowstorm. And it really was quite a snowstorm. Nothing major. At least anybody that's over the age of 22. I said back in the last 20 years, anybody 20 years old and younger doesn't know what a Maine winter is. I think we're back into them. I've been saying it for years. We run in cycles, and that has nothing to do with what today's video is about. But I can remember way back as a kid talking about winters, cycles, and all of that stuff. There's nothing new. Just because you're 20 years old and never heard of it, well, guess what? There's some of us have been around a few more years, and we've heard of it, and re-heard of it, and re-heard of it, and re-heard of it. It's just, you guys, you're the last ones on the plate coming down the pike, and in 60 years from now, you'll say the same thing. But that's not what I'm talking about today. We're back in the fish house. It's cold. It's been cold for the last week. I've come down a couple of times, and because of the wind, I headed right back up. I come down to put these windows in. I got them covered up right now with a little piece of scrap tarp. But the wind's not. It's cold, but the wind's not blowing. And I brought down some hand warmers for my mittens, so I'm gonna try to get these windows installed right here. This is kind of going to be a cleanup video. A couple of questions have come up. More than a couple want to rethink the whole project and help me out. Well, I don't mean to be rude, but I am a retired carpenter. I built everything you can imagine since I was 19 years old. If you can think about it, I probably built it. I've built everything from roofs on rollers for telescopes. I think that was probably one of my most interesting projects. It was a nice telescope too. That thing, I forget how big it was, but man, it was huge anyways. And the roof system on that building, number one, had to be on concrete so there was no vibration, and a couple other things. I can't remember all the details way back then. But anyways, the roof system had to be on the rafters. It was a regular pitched roof. The whole thing was on rollers so that one man could come out and unlatch the roof and push it on a track and push it out of the way so he could stand up his thing. That's just some of the projects that I've done. Everything from building barns, houses, cottages, camps, you name it. So these fish houses aren't really that complicated for a guy like me. I think the biggest thing that's gotten comments is my fish hole in the floor, my jig hole. So many people are concerned about the 2 sheetrock screws that I've got to back out of there to get the cover off. I want to make fun here, so don't get offended, because I am going to make fun a little bit. The whole purpose in that jig hole, when it's closed, is out of sight, out of mind. I don't want to be tripping over hinges. I don't want to be playing with hasp. I want it super tight when I'm traveling down the lake, because obviously the comments that I've been getting about this fish hole are coming from people that don't know what fluffy snow can do. Have I had a jig hole with a hinge on it? Of course I have. How do you think I learned this stuff? Have I had a jig hole with a padlock and a hasp on it to keep it shut? Of course I have. Again, how do you think I learned this stuff? When it comes to fish houses and traveling down a lake, there's a lot of trial and error that's gone into the design in this fish house. And when I say a lot, I say 50 years worth of experience in building fish houses. So when it comes to that jig hole, there's a whole lot of thinking and a whole lot of trial and error that has gone into that jig hole. Now, I could go to the fishing store and I could buy, they sell a cover that's threaded, all made out of plastic. You can screw that in the floor. That's one way to get away. The important thing with this hole is that it can't even have 1/4 of an inch of space between the cover and being closed. With a hasp going down the lake, that could be as much as 1/2 inch. Light, fluffy snow will find its way into anything at all. So that's why I'm having a little bit of fun with this. It's only because of lack of knowledge and not knowing how snow reacts. It's just like with little tiny holes up here. A little tiny hole up here in a snowstorm will put 2 inches of snow on absolutely everything inside the fish house, because snow blowing down the lake will find that hole and just keep blowing the whole storm. So then that's kind of the way this jig hole is. I have done, and so it's 2 sheetrock. This is where I want to have fun. It's 2 sheetrock screws, 1.25 inches. It takes me all of a few seconds to back them screws out and get that cover right out of the fish house. So I don't have it laying on the floor. If it's laying on the floor, that might be where I want to put my bait bucket. Or that might be where I want to put, if you're jigging for live smelts, that might be where I want to put my live well to put the live smelts into. And with a 1/2 inch piece of plywood laid on the floor, making things uneven and just something else to trip over, that's one of the reasons I want that cover. 2 sheetrock screws, it's out. I have a slot behind the seats here I drop it into for the day. It's a done deal. I don't got to play with it the rest of the day. And it's not like I use a jig hole every day that I come out. If there is snow on the lake, like right now we've got about 15 inches of fluffy snow, then I will bank this fish house up all the way around it. All 4 sides will get a couple of feet of snow on it, so I can keep a draft from blowing up the race hole. Race holes, because that's what a smelt shack is called. That's why I want to, if you hear me say the word race hole, that's because of winter ice fishing for sea smelts. It's a different kind of fish house, it's a different kind of hole, and it's called a race hole. This is a jig hole. The other comment that's come in is how come if I got snow, I bank it up. That keeps the wind out. By mid-February, 1st of March, there's no snow on the ice. The sun is brighter. It melts most of the snow, if not all of it. And so now you've got just plain bare ice. So I have about a 5-inch gap on both ends. Plus, I have the fish house setting up on blocking to keep it off the ice. You know, the last thing you want is one of these fish houses freeze it in. So I put in a 5-gallon bucket down the hole. And the comment come in is kind of, why not be fancier and cut a round hole for that bucket? Well, another one of those trial and error things. Not that I tried it, not that I did it, because my knowledge of building and building materials knows that in this particular build, it won't work. I have a 1/2 inch piece of plywood. That is my floor. The whole idea in building this fish house is keeping it light and keeping it mobile. So I don't have a lot of floor joists down in under that piece of plywood to carry 2 people's weight climbing in and out of the fish house, just keeping the floor together while we drag it down the lake at 30 miles an hour. So the floor is made up of 4 pieces of 2x4s, 1 on each end and then 2 in the center. So that's not a whole lot of lumber down there to support a 1/2-inch piece of plywood. So I cut a square hole. And the reason I cut a square hole is because then I run a floor joist all the way around that jig hole. This is a view of the jig hole installed. And then the cover will sit on that 1-inch ledger. That's the brown board you see. So that jig hole is completely supported by floor joists. I took a video of it so you can see how I did it. I lay them down on edge so they're 3.5 inches. But that gives me a lot of support around this jig hole so that when we're up here climbing around, we don't have the plywood dipping. And it would be a pain right in the behind to build a round framework around a round hole for something that I might only use once or twice a winter, which is the 5-gallon bucket. I don't need that 5-gallon bucket if I've got the fish house banked up with snow. And 90% of the time, the fish house is banked up with snow. It makes it warmer. It makes it stay still. If the wind is blowing, we do tie them down, but it just makes things better if I can bank up snow all the way around the fish house. And I always have a snow shovel with me. That's one of the first things I do when I set a fish house. Get it up on blocking and then get it covered with snow. The other thing is, depending on conditions, I need a drink of coffee. Depending on conditions, in the wintertime, I would never, ever, ever drill this jig hole under my fish house. What does that mean? If you got 2 feet of wet, heavy snow on top of the ice, or a foot of wet, heavy snow, or you've drilled the hole and a snowstorm is rolled in that's going to dump a foot of heavy, wet snow, and you've got a fresh hole under this fish house or around this fish house, the ice is going to settle and water's going to come out of that hole and create slush. Under the snow, you might have a foot of snow, then you could have 6 inches of wet, slushy snow. Snowmobiles don't like it. Fish house doesn't like it. People don't like that slush. It's not fun to walk in. So depending on conditions, depending on weather, a whole lot of depends on even if I'm going to drill that hole. And sometimes, and them conditions, we don't even drill close to the fish house. Because I like to keep the fish house on dry ice as much as possible, as far as the top of the ice getting flooded. You can actually see, in the springtime, you can actually see water coming out of these holes when you get heavy snow conditions and you drill it. You drill your hole, you might shovel down. There was one year we had to shovel down through 4 feet of snow to even get to the ice. And once you got to the ice, you got a big hole down there. So you drill your hole with your ice auger, and the next thing you know, you're standing in a foot of water inside of that hole. So there's a lot that goes into this, and when this jig hole even gets used. So hopefully that'll answer. Like I said, this is kind of one of those videos where we're gonna catch up on a couple of things as to why we're going down that road, and why I've arrived at this solution to solve a problem that's, something that I've worked at for 50 years. The other thing that came up was the sheetrock screws. Sheetrock screws versus torque screws. In my trade, I've had sheetrock screws in every bin in my shop for 40 years. I've built everything you can imagine out of sheetrock screws. The 1 1/4, yeah, they are a little bit of, they will, if you get them into a knot, something like that, snap off. You're going to bust your hump to try to break off a 3-inch sheetrock screw. What I like about them is you don't strip the heads out. And it's a Phillips head that we've always got around, out in the shop or once these fish houses land out on the ice, sometimes you might need to maintain them. One thing is the jig hole. Got to take screw out. But I've been building, you name it, I built it with a sheetrock screw. I've tested it. I'm not, you look in my shop, you won't find, the only torque screws you will find are those great big torque screws that I showed you in the beginning, where we bolt the skis on with. That's it. I don't build with them. Never have. Never have. 50 years of doing it. I don't think I'm going to change now. And it's just something that I've always had on the shelf. So it's kind of why, that's why it was a go-to thing, I suppose. But just one of those things I never did. So smack me, beat me, do whatever you got to do. But you know, you're not going to talk me into filling up my shop with torque screws. Not after 50 years, 40 years of building everything with sheetrock screws. I've never had a problem. I have been building fish houses with them. For, like I said, even my boats. All my boats are put together. When you see me putting the roughs on hemlock inside of my boats, it's all done with sheetrock screws. Ain't none of that fancy gold, silver, and everything else. I'll take an old sheetrock screw and build anything with it. So that's just another one of those things we'll put to rest. Like I said, you're going to work some hard to bust off a 3-inch one anyways. And they just suck up so tight. This thing, you can roll it right over and park it on its roof. It's just so solid. So I think that wraps up all the, I got to catch up. I got to catch up with some of the comments that have been coming in. Mainly was the jig hole. Don't get so tied up in the little things. This is a fun series. This is how I built my fish house. This is where I've arrived at it. That's all. Let's see. There was one other point here. Oh, I might think of it in a minute. But weather hasn't been cooperating, but it is a little bit today, so I figured I would come down. We're at 17 minutes. Video's gone on long enough. So, hey, you guys have a great day. And I'll see you in the next one.